Hello, this is a continuation of a discussion of Paul's first missionary journey. I guess we'll call this Paul's first missionary journey part 2. Here you see a map, and we've discussed some of these earlier. So, for example, Tarsus, and, Damascus, and other places Paul went. We want to take a look now at some more of the places that Paul visits in his first missionary journey. Paul is traveling with Barnabas, and they come after they leave Cyprus to Attalia, as it's called. And this is a picture of the modern city. It's a beautiful city today, and still a very important harbor town in Turkey. Here are the mountains from that harbor that surround it. You can see them in the distance. Pretty imposing. As we said, the entire plateau. There's a plateau in the central part of what is Turkey today, or Asia Minor, and around that are pretty significant mountains, as you can see here. So we see that Paul goes from Antioch. Here's a map that shows Paul's missionary journeys. You know, he starts over here in Antioch, and he moves and lands at Salamis, and then goes to Paphos. By the way, Cyprus today, I visited Cyprus a couple years ago. It's divided. There's a Turkish side on the north and the Greek side to the south. And Salamis is actually on the Turkish side, while Paphos is on the Greek side. I went there and I visited Salamis, and I intended on visiting Paphos. I was not allowed to cross because I had a rental car, and they wouldn't allow me to cross to the Greek side. The Greeks wouldn't, without a form that was filled out, and of course that office was closed, and that sort of shut me down. But I still went to the capital city and walked across to the Greek side. Well, at any rate, he lands up here at Perga, Attalia, and then he goes Pisidian Antioch, Iconium, Lystra, and Derbe. Okay, so and then probably comes back to Attalia and sails back to Antioch. So let's take a look at Perga. This is a very interesting site. It has a lot of water in it. This, as you can see here, in certain times of the year. It actually has this. When I visited here, there was no water in there. This is a photo I got from somebody else, but this is this up in this hill, water would flow down through this fountain, and then it flowed right down through the center of the town. So that as you walked on the streets, the water would be flowing. You could actually places where you could cross over and walk. So it's a beautiful site. Here's the hippodrome. So here is Perga. So we see he then moves. Here's the region of Pamphylia, which is sometimes mentioned, and the region of Galatia, which we talked about earlier. Iconium, Lystra, Derbe. By the way, Derbe's the hometown of Timothy, and here's Paul's hometown of Tarsus, and there's Antioch. So this gives us a nice view of this whole area. The area of Antioch of Pisidia is today called Konya. This is, excuse me, that's Iconium. So Iconium is now known as Konya. Large city of almost 1 million. The center of it today, since there's modern ruins, what most people visit today is a shrine to a Muslim mystic, so to speak, called Mevlana. But here the trees mark the heart of the ancient city. The site has not been excavated. So Paul and Barnabas are here for about 3 months. It's also, there's a long tradition that Philip came to Turkey or Asia Minor, to here, and also further west to Hierapolis near Laodicea, on his way to Hierapolis, where it's believed that he died. Thecla, a follower of Paul from Iconium, is said to have been miraculously healed here. She eventually settles in Antioch, so you run into Thecla over in this part of the world too. This is all from early church tradition. So here's the view of Mount Philip and Mount Thecla from Iconium. Pisidian Antioch's about 100 miles away. So here's Konya. This is the Mevlana shrine, the Sufi. The Sufis are the mystical Muslims. So this is what's in the city today, and I've visited here. It's an interesting place to visit. Not really related to Paul, but this is there's not many remains to the Roman period you can see here. This, of course, is where the whirling dervishes come from. If you've heard of the whirling dervishes, they are Sufi Muslims. Paul and Barnabas are here about 3 months, then they flee for their life. They flee they go to the time of Lystra, the town of Lystra, mentioned 6 times in the New Testament in Lycaonia. It's about 21 miles from Konya or Iconium, and it was a Roman colony from the 6th century. We see the road connecting Iconium, Lystra, Derbe, and so forth. They probably followed that road in the first missionary journey. So we see they heal a crippled man. This is famously the place where the people want to worship them as Hermes and Zeus, and it's interesting that Paul, Paul's appearance. Some people speculate that Paul's appearance was not anything that would attract people to him. But and so it's interesting. You take a look at the text and think of it that way, and think of who they identify as Hermes and who they identify as Zeus. But I'll let you do that on your own. Paul is stoned here. The people want to try to kill him, but eventually he is saved, and he will head for Derbe. So here is the mound of Lystra. Still a lot of work could be excavated here at Lystra. Paul visited Lystra on the 2nd journey and the 3rd journey as well. Timothy could be from Lystra or Derbe. So definitely Timothy's from this area, as mentioned in Acts 16 and Timothy 3. Timothy's grandmother and mother are also mentioned. They would have lived in this area. Timothy would have been his mother Jewish, his father Roman or non-Jewish at least. Here's a part of a stone altar found there with a Latin inscription. It says Lystra on it, so we've got good evidence. Here is the mound of Lystra. This is interesting. I thought I'd show you. This is shaduf. This is basically a way to get water out of the ground, or a way to move water from wells. Instead of just throwing a rope down there with a bucket on it, you can lower it with this, and then this arm is weighted and it helps you lift it up and down. You find these a lot in the Middle East, Egypt, certainly here in Turkey and elsewhere. Derbe. Derbe is identified with Kirta Huyuk, which is a mound out here. It's 15 miles north of Karaman. There was an inscription that was found, said the gods of Derbe, and a tombstone from a Christian era that mentions Michael, a bishop of Derbe. So it's in the Roman province of Galatia. This would be the easternmost city on the first missionary journey. They revisit they establish churches as they move through, and they will later revisit. Paul will revisit many of these. Paul then sails for Antioch and probably revisits here on the 2nd missionary journey. Gaius of Derbe joins him for part of the trip, presumably in Acts 20. Here's a view of the mound of Derbe, Kirtu Huyuk, here, as you can see. And the wheat is ready for harvest. Points out the different seasons. For a bit further south, where it's a bit warmer, say in Palestine, you would be harvesting wheat in late May and June. Here in Turkey, where it's not quite as warm, you would still be harvesting it probably in late June, early July. That's what this picture was taken. So you have to think of the harvest time as being different than normally we think of it here in North America, as being, say, September, October, something like that. It's more like June, July, or late May. Here's another view of the site. It's never been excavated. Again, another place you could reveal quite a bit. And from the top, you can look out and see the plain below and the rolling hills. And here they've been harvesting the wheat. From here, you would head south and go through the Cilician Gates. And Lystra is about 60 miles, or probably get there in 3 days if you're pushing hard. 15 to 20 miles a day is fairly standard what people think you could comfortably walk in a day. You could push it, I suppose, but that's probably what, mostly when you think about it, that's the way it would be. All right, we'll end it here for now, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good day.